almost feel like Gordon Bombay would have taken his career to even further heights.
Everything's flashy, everything's cocaine, everything's
Fun.
Open wide for some soccer.
I don't care what you think about what your personal thoughts are at home. I care that you hate the
Call
Cowboys.
this college rule.
Welcome, everybody, to the Sports Experience Podcast. I'm Chris. This is Dom. Just a couple of comics talking sports, and we're just getting right into it. Today, we're talking about a game, actually.
Yeah, another game like we did kind of Rams and Panthers last week.
Yeah.
For this one, it's a different kind of football.
Well, we're talking the Champions League Final 2005, Liverpool versus AC Milan.
Oh, yeah.
Miracle of Istanbul.
It really was a miracle that we all got to witness.
Well, it was one of the greatest soccer games, especially because you have these games that are, extremely exciting, but they're never a final. It's like a Super Bowl where they're always blowouts, and you're like, that was a great game.
You're like the Bills again.
Yeah,
Come on, man.
Exactly, and this was getting ready to be a Bills blowout. I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah.
And it turned into the miracle of Istanbul.
This is like that 13-year stretch where the NFC was just really Uncle Slippy fisting or NFC doing it to the AFC.
Yes.
So, yes, that's the way it goes.
So May 25th in Istanbul, Turkey, there was talk about not having a Champions League taken place in Turkey because it was
Turkey. Yeah.
It was looked at as the security wasn't going to be high enough.
We've all watched Midnight Express, Chris.
What's amazing was the atmosphere in Istanbul, everybody knows, is just absolutely crazy. Their stadium is set up like amazing to just like amplify the sound. So like,
you ever been inside a Turkish prison before, Billy?
No, Jesus. Well, this is what we're doing tonight.
No. All right. But yeah, they're holding it in Turkey. It's the first Champions game held in Turkey.
Yeah, first Champions League final in Turkey. That's what everyone was saying. And they showed that it was great.
Oh, the atmosphere was insane, dude, for this game. Holy cow.
So let's get into how these two teams made it to this Champions League. So Liverpool finished fourth in the previous year, so they have to go through on a qualifying. So they have to beat somebody in a home and away game to make it through to the group stage.
Yeah.
AC Milan won Serie A, so they automatically make through to the group stage. Mm-hmm. And then we get to the group stage, and we brought this up in our Steven Gerrard episode, was Liverpool was fighting to get through on that second spot, and they're playing Olympiacos, and Steven Gerrard absolutely has one of the greatest strikes, probably the greatest strike of his career, to send them through to the group stage second. So Olympiacos goes through first.
And you know that he was jamming to some Phil Collins after that.
Oh, my God.
He was on cloud nine.
It was wonderful. And then AC Milan, counter to that, ends up winning their group. And they had a really fucking rough group. They won their group over Barcelona.
Manchester United.
Well, no, that's later.
Oh, okay.
But this is what I mean is through the group stage, they definitely were... It was obvious that it was almost two paths that these teams were taking right off of the bat.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think that both of them would meet. You'd figure AC Milan might be there, but...
Well, everybody was picking AC Milan. That's the thing, and I'll go through their team. This was, without a doubt, their... dynasty years.
I recognize some of those players from that Italy World Cup team they have. Yeah, from 2006, which is the following year. So that actually makes a lot of sense. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, so Liverpool end up being Bayern Leverkusen, Juventus, and Chelsea. And I wanted to say this. We brought this up in our Troy Aikman episode where it made playoff games so much more fun when these teams kept playing against each other.
Yeah.
And it was like this round robin of Juventus, Chelsea, and Liverpool, and they kept meeting in the Champions League and like knocking each other out. And like it made that era so much fun, especially the Liverpool-Chelsea rivalry that was in the Champions League. It was so much fun. And then, so they go through, that's who Liverpool go through. And then Milan, like you were saying, take on Manchester United, Inter Milan in the Milan Derby, which is pretty wild. And then PSV Eindhoven, which was a okay team. I'm just saying that was probably, not the best. I mean, they were an okay team then. So now I want to get into these lineups because they are so different.
Pretty crazy. Yeah.
So AC Milan's got Brazil's goalkeeper Dida, which is probably the most recognizable name, which is kind of crazy to say.
Just like one of the
just their number, like
reigning World Cup winners goalie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then they have Cafu, who's 35 on the right back. And people were saying, like, Cafu was such an unbelievably great athlete that at 35, he was outrunning everyone on the field. Like, he was just like that guy that you were just like, oh, okay.
Taking some of them TB12 steroids.
Exactly. Central center back, Jaap Stam. Check out that Sir Alex Ferguson episode where they get into it. Nesta is the other center back. And then they have Pablo Maldini, who was probably one of the best players, ever. He was like their captain, AC Milan, in this era of their dominance, and he's playing left back for them. So that's
and he was like he's their guy, and he's like a grizzled veteran at this point, right? Yes. Okay.
And then they have Pirlo, who is in his. It's crazy to think of Pirlo as like a young guy. He's like 26, 27. They have Gattuso, who's like 26, 27.
He's got to look like a caveman kind of.
It's crazy. And they have Clarence Seedorf, who's in his 30s, and then they have Kaká, who's like 24. So they have this central midfield that is like the age that you want all of these unbelievable stars. And then you have Shevchenko and Crespo as your two strikers. And if you were going to make a team of like all-stars going back in this era, you're like, oh, I want to play FIFA. And like, this is the kind of shit that you would lay out. Like
cool.
These guys from like, that's what a great team that this AC Milan really team constructed was. And then we look at Liverpool.
Yep.
Not quite the same international pedigree. So right back, they have Steve Finnan, who's fine right back, but not world class. They have Carragher, who I would take as a world class center back, especially in this era. He plays very much a hard nose. Mm-hmm. Sam Hupia, who's just Sam Hupia, man. He's not anything that's crazy. He's not Jaap Stam. You know what I mean?
Nothing to write home about.
That's what I mean. They have Torre, who had one of the worst games ever. I'll get into that.
Oh, yeah.
They had Xabi Alonso, who this is where you see where Liverpool's pedigree comes in. So like their midfield was really great. Xabi Alonso, one of the best midfielders.
He was on the Spain World Cup teams, wasn't he? Yeah.
He was in this Spain. He was in this era of Spain midfielders being unbelievable, and he's the one that kind of gets always left out because he was playing for Liverpool.
Dang.
Then you have Luis Garcia, who just does one too many fucking tricks. You have Jonah Anarisa, who's had just like an amazing left foot, but couldn't kick the ball with his right foot to save his life. So like, this is the kind of shit I'm talking about, was like, they almost had like this Bad News Bears.
What you're saying is they constructed the island of misfit toys as a soccer team. Yeah.
And then they have Gerrard, Stevie G in the middle, and then they have Kuhl, who gets subbed out very early, and Milan Baros, which I love the fact that there's a guy on Liverpool whose first name is Milan. I'm going to call him Baros from now on, but I always just love that.
The name of the hurricane is Hurricane Ditka.
Exactly. And just to throw out their formations, Liverpool was playing like a 4-4-1-1 with Kuhl playing right behind Baros, and Gerrard and Xabi Alonso almost being like the holding midfielders, which really bit them in the ass because Milan came out in this 4-4-2 in this diamond, and had Kaká being like this freewheeling guy that Gerrard and Xabi really couldn't deal with.
Ooh, okay.
So that's what we see. And if you watch this game, it's interesting because it is not like the culture of soccer has changed. So like nowadays, possession is like everything.
Okay.
And back then there was a lot more high risk passes that were given out.
So it's a lot more fun to watch then.
Sometimes.
Okay.
It's hard to say because sometimes it's more frustrating.
Yeah, like you're making too many boneheaded plays when it's just like, nah, take that. Okay, that makes sense.
So we see this right away with Traore. So we're just going to get right into the game.
Get into the game. Ataturk Stadium.
Yes. So right away, Traore hits a long ball. And this is the thing that people were talking about, was like he was instructed to hit these balls into Baros, but they were just not good passes.
No, they weren't making them.
And so he hits one in. They take it, then play it back. Liverpool get possession again, give it to Traore and the left back. He hits another long ball in. AC Milan just immediately takes it back, dribble it down, and Traore ends up fouling him near the box. And this is in the first minute. So this is what I mean. Like, literally, the only play that's really happening is Traore on this left back, gives the ball away, concedes a foul, and then...
It's basically like fumbling a kickoff, the opening kickoff at like you're 15.
And Pirlo steps up. They have pretty much a predestined play. I don't know if you... really saw the way it was everybody crashed the goal, and then right there waiting essentially was Maldini to put the ball in.
Yeah, Paolo got it, man. Kicked it right in.
And this is in the first minute.
Yeah.
This was AC Milan's game plan. I want to talk about the coaches. So Ancelotti was AC Milan's coach, and Rafa Benitez was Liverpool's coach, and Ancelotti said that this was our plan to score in the first 10 minutes, and because that's their team was set up to counterattack.
Yeah, to get a lead early.
And to get a lead early.
Get that momentum going for you and make the other team play from behind.
Well, and it's very much an Italian style because they trust so much in their defense that they can sit in defense, and then they have Kaká, Shevchenko, and Crespo going as their counterattack, and it's people were talking about it being one of the more scarier trios that you would see ever.
Well, yeah, they can capitalize you watch early in this game is they capitalize on mistakes.
Yes,
that's their bread and butter.
Yes. I just want to put this out. Maldini being the oldest goal scorer at the time in the Champions League at 37 when he put this one in. Wow. So that's how old he was.
Good job, Grandpa.
Already 4 Champions League medals under his belt. That's what an amazing guy Maldini is. I'm just pointing it out. 13th minute, Crespo almost scores with Garcia clearing off the line. And this is what we're seeing is like it's back and forth, but Liverpool's chances are half chances. AC Milan's chances are full chances.
And they're missed a couple of opportunities due to mistakes too. I mean, like the whole game as it's progressing in the first half is just playing right into AC Milan's hands.
Exactly. Like Liverpool really can't stop AC Milan's plan. We see about 10 minutes after that, Kuhl goes down injured. Yeah. This was... people said was Benitez's really he shouldn't have started Kuhl because he was injury prone, and he should have, and we'll talk about this at halftime, he should have made this change right here and brought on another defensive midfielder, but he doesn't. He ends up bringing on Vladimir Schmeitzer, and Schmeitzer goes and plays right wing, and Garcia goes up and plays in that withdrawn striker role. Which was kind of a mistake. That's what people were saying. And we saw this because they essentially were playing the wrong formation, losing every 50-50 ball, all of this strategic kind of thing. And he had a chance to change it right then and didn't.
No, he took the other route, and it definitely cost him in the first half.
Sure. And that's what we see is Shevchenko actually has a goal that's called offsides right after this, and they're just pushing. Yeah. And like you said, the capitalizing on mistakes, they have a penalty claim. I think it was on Maldini.
Yeah.
In AC Milan's box that, I mean, could have been called. I'm just saying it could have been. But you see 4 or 5 Liverpool players standing around with their hand up like, you going to call that? You going to call that? And AC Milan do exactly what they're set up for, which is a counterattack. And we see in this span of 5 minutes, so 40 to 44 minutes, we see the brilliance that is Kaká.
Totally.
He sets these 2 goals up.
It's insane.
It's really pretty amazing because he goes to, just to bring up some Kaká shit, he goes to Real Madrid and doesn't really... I know, I loved it.
God dang it.
He goes to Real Madrid and really doesn't play at this level, but if you want to watch him in this AC Milan team, he is almost unstoppable. So go from this handball claim, and Milan are counterattacking with Kaká. He takes it and he gives this absolutely wonderful pass to Shevchenko, and it's just like this little like looping right over the defender's leg kind of pass. Shevchenko takes it, squares it right to Crespo, who's wide open just to tap it in.
There wasn't anybody around the guy.
They said it's such a goal that is set up, like you said, that AC Milan, this is like literally what they're doing. Kaká, Shevchenko to Crespo. Like this on the counterattack. This is like, it's going the way, like I bet Ancelotti at this point is just like, I'm a god.
Well, you remember in our 94 Chargers episode where I told that story about Mike Shanahan meeting the night before with Steve Young, because in the West Coast offense, you script your first 15 plays.
Yep.
And he's just like, this game isn't even going to be close. And they've scored 7 touchdowns.
But that's
but
what
I mean, it's
that's
playing
the
out
feeling.
exactly like you drew it up on the friggin' blackboard or the tablet, whatever.
They were drawing it up on the old wine goblets. I'm just saying, like, this was their game plan. It was drawn up, and they were executing it to the fullest, going up 2-0. And then we see Benitez kind of make another bad coaching mistake where he tries to like stretch his team, so he makes his team go like at a more wide, essentially, like it's hard to even explain what he was trying to do, but he was trying to like spread out the team, and AC Milan was just like no, and they literally went right back up the middle. You see this because, and I hate to say it, because Gerrard kind of has this bad pass. It gets intercepted. Cafu and I forget who play it back and forth, and then they play it up to Kaká, who Gerrard drops back to play on, and he plays one of the best. It is literally just like he barely touches the ball and turns Gerrard, and
oh, totally,
it's almost like Gerrard's not there. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, to say like this game is a tale of two halves. This right here is like Kaká being like, I'm the greatest in the world. This turn right here, because he turns Gerrard, he takes it in and gives one of the greatest passes to Crespo, and then Crespo one touch and just gives like a little chip shot, which it is so it looks easy, but it's so unbelievably hard.
Just tap it in.
Oh my God, that's what it is. And they end up going up. This is the 44th minute. They end up going 3-0. They feel like they have it in the bag. Ancelotti's getting his dick sucked in the locker room.
Probably.
Like, it's fucking,
I mean, he's probably dreaming about all sorts of not soccer stuff at the half.
I'll tell you what's
Everyone's
crazy.
eating oranges.
That's what I mean. Is they're probably like half celebrating in the locker room, and
because you feel pretty good because everything that was scripted just happened, essentially. I mean, like, and the other team, like you said, with Benitez's bad coaching moves, it's just like, how are we going to lose this game?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'll say this, though. Benitez is one of the best tacticians ever. So in this era, so him coming into the locker room, he makes these tactical changes that fills every single gap. So he wants Traore to be benched. He tells him to get into the shower, that his day is done. Steve Finnan, who's supposed to play, he's the right back because they're going to 3 in the back.
Yeah,
so they're dropping
switched up the formations.
They're dropping one of the defenders. So he already goes and tells Traore, "You're done."
Yep.
The physio comes over to him and he's like, "Hey, Steve Finnan's only going to last like another 10 minutes because he picked up like a thigh injury." And he goes to the shower. He tells Traore to stop showering and come out and put his uniform back on because he's going to go out.
Oh, man, that has to be like just it for Traore, just like, oh, I guess I'm not. Ah, crap.
Well, somebody was saying this who was just like, "I just wanted you to be the freshest."
Oh.
And
was he using Irish Spring? God,
yes,
I hope he
come
was.
on
God
now.
damn it.
It's one of those things, though, as a professional, you just have to. And Traore has not a good second half. Or, I mean, not a great second half, but he has a good second half. So, luckily for him, he could come out and redeem himself because, like you were saying, they were a 4-4-1-1. They end up going into a 3-4-2-1 and bringing on Hamann, who is a German central defensive midfielder. Dietmar Hamann. And this opens up Gerrard, which is our boy.
And that's who you got to open it up for.
Well, that's what they were saying was they should have started off like this. So AC Milan kind of had one formation. The 4 in the back, the diamond, the 2. I mean, they end up going into like a 5 later, and I'll bring this up as they kind of wait too long to go into this, but everybody knew what AC Milan was going to start with. There was no questions with that. So it was like, why wouldn't we start with this 3 in the back? Because just to go from like back to front. So like the 3 in the back now. So before when they had the 4, it was almost confusion as to who was going to pick up who.
Exactly.
The central midfield or the central defenders, one would have to go up maybe and meet Kaká, and that would open up space behind him. Now literally it's man marked across the back. And everybody knows what they were going for.
Who you're going to cover or where you go when the ball is there.
Yep.
You know?
And then with the with the extra center defensive midfielder, with 2 of them, with Xabi Alonso and Haman, they can essentially close down Pirlo and Kaká, who were like orchestrating this game.
Yeah, and they were eating them alive.
They were.
First half,
yes. Yeah. And Kaká especially, I have to say, that is when he was so unbelievable. And coming into the second half, I hate to say it, this was what a detractor would say was he kind of checks out.
Oh, no. You got to play for the full Fergie time or whatever.
Yeah. You're getting your fucking soccer quotes in. I love that.
I'm doing my best, Chris.
Oh, man. So let's start that second half.
Start the second half.
AC Milan is still pressing, and they're still getting good chances, but you can tell Liverpool has momentum going. They're like, oh, this is a different look.
We're not getting the crap kicked out of us anymore.
Exactly.
Come on, confidence.
Exactly. We're getting like full chances. Shevchenko actually has a really good chance that Dudek saves.
Yeah.
And then a couple of minutes after that, it is just the floodgates open up. John Arana Risa. I hate saying his name.
I was going to say Joanna Man, but yeah, that works.
It's so
too.
hard. Ends up whipping a ball in. The first one gets blocked by Cafu, and then he whips the second one in. And Gerrard, it's almost like the exact same way that Maldini was, where everybody's crashing on the inside. Gerrard comes in late and heads in just a beautiful ball into the corner. Like, if you look at it,
the header was amazing.
Oh my God. It is literally like the only place it could have went in.
And it was really fucking cool. I'm sorry.
No, I love it. I love that header so much. It was one of those times, and then you see his celebration where it's like, let's go. Not like that was awesome. I'm the shit. Just like, okay, guys, like, let's fucking do this.
Because it wasn't self-aggrandizing. That's what I love so much about it. It was like, get your shit together. This game is not over. They think it's over. Let's finish it.
And then I want to get right into the next goal. It is literally 3 minutes later.
It is legit
and
as shit.
This is why I said Kaká checked out, and why you, like, literally what you were just saying. So they get a throw in.
Yep.
Kaká sees the ball go out, and he decides that his shin guard isn't on right. So he takes his sock off, and he starts fucking with his shin guard. This leaves Xabi Alonso wide open.
Yeah.
Completely open. They get the ball into him, get it to Xabi Alonso, and then it looks like, somebody said this and I thought it was so accurate, it looks like a rugby game where the guys are just shuttling the ball over and they just have one man extra, so they just keep doing it. And that's what this passing is. It's literally just like one extra, and then it just goes to Schmeichel, who's just open for this absolute rocket.
Yeah, this thing was crazy.
Well, that's the thing about this game too, is all of the goals were fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's not like they were just like ho-hum. These were like, top 10 Sports Center type goals.
All of them. I loved it. The Kaká ones in the first half, and then these two with Gerrard's header, and then Schmeitzer's kick and Barosh barely getting out of the way. Like, it's one of those like memories that just like is cemented in my mind. And they say that this goal was probably about 80% Kaká's fault if you look at it, because literally Shevchenko, the striker ahead of him, sprints back because he sees the need that bad.
He's probably like, you see it unfolding and you just can't stop it like an action
just like,
movie.
oh shit, yeah. He's
got that Mel Gibson Lethal Weapon face going, ah!
Exactly. And then, you know what? 3 minutes later.
Yeah, 3 minutes. Like, they all happened at one. Like, this is like the avalanche.
I believe it's in a span of 7 minutes, and we get a minute right here of Xabi Alonso setting up for a penalty. So literally right after this, Steven Gerrard gets a brilliant break right into the middle of the box, and Gattuso comes over and
takes him down. Yeah,
takes him down, and there's not a lot of contact, but he's full sprint in the box, and there is contact. And this was something that I found so interesting. Like I was saying, like nowadays, this probably absolutely would have been a yellow, maybe a red.
Okay.
It wasn't even a card. It was like, it really is a different kind of game that they were playing back then. Gerrard goes down. Xabi Alonso steps up to take the penalty kick.
Dude, this play is so cool. I didn't even know you could do this on penalty kicks.
Oh, yeah. It's free as soon as it's in play.
Okay.
You know, it's in play.
Unless the goalie like catches it or something.
Well, yeah. Well, then it's his. So it's in play like a normal. You know what I mean? So Xabi Alonso steps up to take it. He hits it to the goalie's right. The goalie saves it.
Yeah.
But he saves it right in front of him, and Xabi was right there just to bury it back in.
Well, and he was hustling. It's almost like I thought of basketball when I saw this, like following your shot to get the rebound. That was, oh my God, so cool.
It is, because especially it's so hard to stop these penalty kicks at this. It's hard to catch them.
Yeah.
So they almost always block them. So it's almost always a rebound right there or another, chance,
Yeah, no, for sure. And I mean, now the game is tied.
So now it's 3-3.
And it all happens within, 7 minutes?
Yeah.
So, I mean, brand new ball game.
It's absolutely insane to think about. And
there's so much more to go.
I remember watching this game live and being like, I guess I'll watch the second half. Like, that's the kind of shit where I was just kind of like, yeah, I mean,
it's like that Falcons-Patriots Super Bowl.
100%. That's literally what it was. Still a great game, still pressing. AC Milan, 70th minute, Shevchenko gets a shot and past Dudek, the goalie, and Traore, who had the worst fucking first half ever, pretty much saves it right here, was saving this goal, clearing it off the goal line.
It's like a Billy Madison. Man, I'm glad I called that guy.
Seriously, and they left him in. It was like, thank God. Another round of Carragher tackles in this span of this last 20 minutes. They were talking about what an amazing effort he had. There's literally like 3 or 4 of them stopping Kaká and Crespo right as they would get the ball right at the 18. Like, Carragher at the end here really kept Liverpool in this game because AC Milan was really pushing. And
they look like they're just like, let's just get one more and get the hell out of here before anything else happens.
Like, we can score, we can do this. And then 86th minute, and this was talking shit on Ancelotti, was he waited too long to make this switch. They end up going to 5 in the back. And this is when we see Gerrard going back to right back. So I think it was 85th minute, Liverpool uses their last sub.
Okay.
So this is why Gerrard ended up playing the rest of the game at right back and ends up winning.
Versatile freaking badass.
Well, he ends up winning man of the match because he's literally playing in this second half and overtime. He's playing absolutely unbelievable. But like I said, tale of two halves. If this ended in the first half, we'd be talking about Kaká being the man of the match.
No.
So it's one of those things, or Crespo. So it's such an interesting change where first half he was kind of garbage and they were talking about taking him out, like people that were hating on him. And then second half, they're like, oh, he's the best player in the world.
Yeah.
So we get into overtime. It's 3-3. It's kind of stunning. I wanted to point this out. I kind of forgot. When AC Milan was up 3-0, Liverpool came out, and their fans, instead of being bummed, sang "You'll Never Walk Alone," which is their anthem. So they literally were like, no, we could still do this back when they were down 3-0. I thought that was amazing.
Dude,
amazing from Liverpool fans, which you got to give it up to.
I probably would have been there with a boombox with a Benny Hill theme playing in the background.
Well, and this was the other thing at this point, because you think your team's going to lose, they come back, you start panning to the audience before overtime, and people are fucking hammered.
Absolutely. I mean,
hammered because they think their team's going to lose. Now their team's tied. They have no idea what's going on. It's in Istanbul. So it's wild. I'll just say that.
Schnockered on that plumb line.
The best chance for overtime came at 117th minute. Shevchenko has a shot.
Yeah.
Dudek saves it. Shevchenko gets the rebound and smashes it about as hard as he can, which is kind of crazy to think he's like a foot away and Dudek blocks it. And people were saying like he had no idea about this shot. If you look at it, it's pretty much he knows that he has to get up and get something on it because
exactly
it is really a great 2-block to keep Liverpool in this game.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, it was insane.
And then we get in to penalties.
PKs.
Quick little fun fact, Liverpool and AC Milan, both time they won what would be the Champions League, the top European cup, they both won it on penalties.
Yeah, that was in the article I had read. That's pretty cool.
Liverpool beat Roma in 84.
Yeah.
And I'm bringing this up because Bruce, and I can't remember his name, but he was the spaghetti legs. So when Liverpool beat Roma in 84, he kind of like had this crazy movement on the line when he was the goalkeeper to kind of like fake out the guys taking the thing.
Tell where you're gonna go.
And
right?
we see Dudek do the exact same kind of mind games. Ooh. So for every single penalty taker, he would take the ball and meet him up at the AC Milan player up at the penalty taking spot. And the AC Milan player, I saw this happen twice. I don't know if he did it more times. They didn't show it, but he would go to grab it and Dudek would take the ball back. And then give it to him.
Man.
And just shit like that where it wasn't like wasting time, but he kept trying to get into their mind. And there was stuff that he does that's not allowed now where he would like encroach on the player and shit like that. But like it made for such a great penalty shootout.
That's pretty cool. He probably should have windmilled him. I bet he could have got away with that.
That's what I mean. Just all of the crazy antics that he had. So Serginho was the first one to get up for AC Milan, and he misses high into the right, and people were saying that Dudek had a lot to do with that.
Yeah.
A flat-out miss on a penalty kick is huge.
And he sailed it over the crossbar. Yeah. I mean, holy crap. Yeah.
So that's big. Haman steps up with a broken toe.
Oh, yeah.
Buries it for Liverpool. I'm just saying. So, like, put it in perspective. People are going absolutely crazy.
We're going to win.
Pirlo steps up, saved by Dudek, low to the right. This is probably one of the better saves, if not the best save. I mean, the last one's probably the best.
Yeah, but it's still legit, man.
With Pirlo, and this is what we were talking about was Liverpool had pretty much knowing where everybody was going to go. In this penalty kick, they did their due diligence.
Yeah, you want to bring that up, what you were talking about before?
Well, and AC Milan did, but not necessarily for every player. So I imagine they did for like their bigger players, but I think Liverpool had one for every single possible penalty taker.
Which is cool.
Well, which was what ends up winning this kind of take. So we see Dibiral Cisse come in and score Liverpool's second. He was subbed in, I believe, for Baros in the overtime. And then Thomason actually scores Milan's first one, who was subbed in for, I think it was Crespo or somebody like that.
Everyone's tired, Chris.
I forget who he got subbed in for, but this is the thing is Liverpool's up 2-0 and everyone's like, oh, we're about to win this. Milan come back 2-1. Jonan Arisa ends up missing. Kaká buries it, and now it's 2-2. Yep. So it was almost like the game where AC Milan was
Someone
up
goes
3.
up early and then back and forth.
It was the back and forth. And then Schmeitzer, who you got to give it up to this guy who didn't play for Liverpool for that much and didn't play after this season. But he had the second goal in the game. He had the penalty kick to make him go up 3-2.
Yep.
And then Shevchenko steps up which is crazy because he's known for being a great penalty kicker. Like he had one in 2003 to beat Juventus for them to win the Champions League final.
Wow.
And he steps up, kicks it down the middle, and Dudek actually dives to the right, but leaves his hand back and saves it. And it's such one of those great things where it was like a safe dive.
Yeah, right.
And man, was he lucky.
Like, for the love of God, let it hit my trailing hand.
And it did. Liverpool go on to win
Yeah, because you don't have to kick anymore. They can't score any more than you now.
And the guy that was up next to take their final kick was who? Steven Gerrard.
Oh,
Never even had to take
didn't
a kick.
even need him
No.
at that point.
The captain. And Liverpool go on to win the 2005 Champions League, first time since '84 that they won the Champions League. It was in Istanbul. A couple of takeaways. What was your takeaway from this?
Best damn soccer game I ever watched.
Well, because this was in this era, this is when I started to watch soccer. This is when the Premier League was kind of starting to be shown in USA.
Yeah.
And this game was like the game that was like, oh shit, this is amazing. And I've never been a Liverpool fan then or now, but like the game was so entertaining. Like you said, like if every soccer game was like this, I'd watch every single weekend. I was
Well,
like,
no,
yeah.
I mean, and you want that as a fan of the sport. Like this year, these NFL playoffs were amazing.
Yes.
Steelers were absolute dog shit, but I didn't care. All the games were freaking entertaining.
Exactly. And that's like we were saying, like the Super Bowl this year was entertaining, but like some years you get the Bills.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is. And like this was the one that cemented it for me where I was like, oh, I love this.
Before 1997, ooh, I want to be John Elway.
Yes. Exactly. A couple more takeaways. I want to say this because AC Milan, this was their dynasty. They go on in 2007 and actually beat Liverpool in the finals.
Nice.
Just a little
Revenge.
thing. Yep. But this could have been their 3 Champions Leagues in 6 years, but instead it was
man.
2 in 6 years. I'm just saying this
Nothing
is
to sneeze at, though.
Yeah, this is their dynasty. Something that I found absolutely amazing about the penalty kicks was Dudek picked right 3 out of the 5 times, and Dide, who was the AC Milan goalkeeper, just went right every single time. So he just decided that he was just going to choose right every time. If you watch it, it's such a weird penalty
Variety
kick.
is the spice of life there, Chief.
Yes, exactly. And another weird one was Dudek ended up never playing another game for Liverpool, and he just kind of went down as the...
Oh, man, that's a way to go out like a boss, dude.
Yep.
Oh.
He transferred to Real Madrid and ended up sitting on their bench and making a shit ton of money doing nothing for like 4 years. It was a weird end to his career.
Man is living the dream.
Yeah. Seriously, though. All right. I think that's it for us. Thank you all very much. Follow our YouTube and our Instagram channels. Mine is Quinn Comedy.
I'm DiTolla Dominic.
And our Sports Experience podcast at youtube.com.